Welcome. It is another night of Punditviews. Last week was a pretty darn good interview. This week, I think it's going to be better. It's because you know what I've got? I've got myself a director tonight, a film director tonight. Only about, I'd say about 23, 24 years old, but already has 4 films. Horror films, of course, because see, I've got a long history with this guy, pretty long history, and there's a good story behind this. Anyway, the biggest thing is he's gone fast. He's come fast, and he's going stronger. Jake Frost, come on down.
Hey, how y'all doing tonight?
Not bad, not bad. Last time I saw you, your hair was shorter.
Yeah, that's what happens. Also, I'm 26.
Ah, good Lord, have I? Did I earn these gray hairs or what? Good Lord. Wow.
You're not that bad looking.
Yeah, well, that's the part, but I'm like, I do you. Yeah, I came into your guys' life. I had brown.
Yeah, we stressed him out that much. That's what happens.
Well, anyway, one of the things being, it's like tell everybody where you're from and what you've been doing and how you got into film.
Well, so I'm from Atlanta, Georgia, originally. I grew up in and around Atlanta my whole life. I got into film because I originally started in college as a biology major, and me and my buddy Wesley, I'm sure you remember Wesley, we would always make like sketch comedy and whatnot, but I never really did anything past that. And then after originally making sketch comedy and getting into college, I decided to switch my major over to film and media and theater.
Yeah.
And started doing really well because my GPA had tanked by that point. And in film, I started doing really well. And after college, I worked on a bunch of different things. I worked on Stranger Things, Raising Dion, Netflix stuff. And then I worked on Secret Headquarters, which is a film I did with Owen Wilson and Michael Pena. And who else did I work with? I worked with Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron, Kathy Bates.
What did you do on those sets?
Mostly PA work. I did locations PA, I did health and safety PA, set PA, a bunch of different things. One film I did with Sterling K. Brown and Regina Hall called Honk for Jesus. I was part of the grip crew.
Oh, I would think you'd be the one that would honk.
No.
Yeah.
But that's what I did. And I did set work pretty consistently for about a year and a half.
Yeah.
2 years. And then finally, after doing an Apple TV show for like 4 months and then kind of dying down for a bit, I realized I wanted to start doing my own stuff. So I started doing jobs for tech for escape rooms. And yeah, so that's what I'm doing right now. But then I started making films on my own time. I made 2 short films that were silent films called Voices and Vices and Sweet Tooth Decline, which are horror movies about addiction that had to deal with addiction and mental health and stuff like that. Then I made a 3rd one recently called Swallow the Bloody Truth, and that one is in consideration for 7 different film festivals.
Ooh, that's very cool. And as somebody who's been in one film festival before, it's always fun, even if it's not like Cannes. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's always fun. Me and my buddies Steven and Ezra, we did the 48-hour film challenge or whatever. Mm-hmm. We made a film called Murderous Intent, and I think we made it in the top 10, and we're shown at a big auditorium at Georgia State. So that was fun.
I did one of those once. I didn't write it, but I was an actor in one of those, and that's a lot of work fast.
It is a lot of work fast, for absolutely sure. But it was worth it. It was really cool to get that started and see even something small like that come to fruition.
Oh, absolutely. And I was going to say, and it's like I said, going up those steps, how long have you been into film? Because going up those steps, I mean, you watch horror, but you watch everything. What is the number one thing that you've always enjoyed about film? Are you the one that just watches and gets enthralled in the story, encased into the story? Or are you one of those that's like, that was a bad skip there, that was a bad edit there, the color's off on this?
So I'm actually a bit of both. I always loved stories because I've been an avid reader ever since I was like able to read.
Yeah.
And So I absolutely love stories. Stories can be really cool, and stories, when they're done correctly, can be some of the best things in the world. But then after going through film school and going through the Georgia Film Academy, you start to notice little things and you're like, oh, that was a bad edit there or whatever. Like I could go through some of the best movies in the world or ever, like, I don't know, like pull one out of the air, like The Godfather, would consider one of the best films of all time. And you can find like, oh, that was a choppy edit right there or something like that. No film is without its flaws, but some have way more than others.
Well, like I'll give you for instance, is there any genre yourself that you have a hard time watching, or can you watch it all?
Yeah, that would be rom-coms.
I can see that. See, mine is that was the thing. You've seen me long enough. Horror is hard for me to watch, and I'll give you that story. Growing up, I've always said this. I didn't have a fear of the knocks in the dark because, well, I believe in Dad, and he's going to go get them. You know, I kind of put all of my chips in on that guy, and they succeeded. I put them in all on a, you know what I mean, and they succeeded. It's like you're lucky in life. You know what I mean? And it succeeded, and it was there. But I put all my chips into that, so I was just having that belief that nothing's going to get me. So horror films bored me. They bored me.
And I can see where some people would be bored with them or whatever, because it takes a certain kind of person to enjoy horror as much as
you do,
and some others do.
Oh yeah,
it's a different kind of brain.
It really is, and you know, there's nothing wrong with the brains. Like I'm saying, I can do. Here's my thing with rom-coms. I can do rom-coms, but I can't have the same old thing over and over. Like it's like, it's the same deal over and over. It's like you get to meet, it's the one good looking guy in all the small town, or the one good looking girl in the whole small town. And then they get me, then there's a misunderstanding. And like, I can't do the same thing over and over. But
see, there's some rom-coms, like for example, I think Rebel Wilson did one where it's like a rom-com actually making fun of rom-coms,
right,
where she like gets stuck. That was okay or whatever, but like with what I can't stand, the type of rom-com that I really can't stand is the stupid Lifetime Christmas rom-coms.
Same one over and over. Hallmark, same
exactly,
one
on Hallmark. Yeah
same over and over. And see, the thing is, it's like this is the funny thing. I've actually thought about writing like my own thing and sending it to Hallmark and seeing how many say no, because it wouldn't be the same formula.
Mm-hmm.
It wouldn't be the same formula. I have a couple of ideas, but it wouldn't be the same formula that they're used to.
Well, no, because you would write something out of left field. I know you.
Yeah. Oh yeah. There's no question. It's like. And well, yeah, we've known each other for a bit, and it's like that's the thing. I want it to be left field. I want people to have to think a little bit, and it's not just okay. We know, yeah, exactly. So really, overall, what is your, as far as horror films like that? Now, tell us first off, one by one, what each of your movies were about and what your motivations were.
So the first one that I wanted to do, the first one I did was called Voices and Vices. And what that one was about is it was about a guy who woke up every day and had bad mental health, and he would literally have to face his own inner demons. So it started off with him just walking out of his bedroom. He looks at the door to his left, and then he opens the door, and inside the door are 4 extremely pale-faced people looking all creepy and whatnot, and he just kind of looks at them, and he knows they're there, but those people represent his own inner demons. He's washing his face in the bathroom, looks up in the mirror, and the next thing you know, there's another one right there. And he walks down the hallway, and there's just a glass of water and his antidepressants, or whatever we used in the film. I think we used Tylenol or something like that to represent his antidepressants, because we didn't want to have Steven. Steven played the main character in that one. We didn't want to have him just taking real antidepressants. So,
and you don't want him to take. Here's the thing: next time, see if he can find sugar pills. You know what I mean? So
he didn't even swallow the Tylenol. He just put it in his mouth and then spat it out.
Yeah, but sugar pills would be the thing on that if they're still around. But
Well,
no,
yeah.
TJ Sanson's creating one right now. I'm actually helping her with it. I got a role in it. You know?
Yeah, I know she asked me to come and work behind the camera with her on it.
Yeah. It's like, no, it's good. She told you about it. It's going to be, see, horror films. I've worked a horror film before with her and everything, and I was like, but there's a long story to that. But it's like I've worked with it, and it's like this one here. It was like, let's see, The Quickening. Remember with, I think it was Quickening with George C. Scott.
Yeah.
I was like, it's kind of like a basis of that a little bit, and it's like I have no problem working on something like that. We're doing those type of things. I'm just not a slasher guy.
See, I'm not either. I'm not the biggest fan of slashers.
How come?
Because, so, when it comes to horror, obviously, the big three that everybody talks about are Freddy, Jason, and Michael.
Yes.
Which, A Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, and Friday the 13th.
Mm-hmm.
But when Friday the 13th, the best one was the original one, and Jason's not even in that one except for a second at the end. The best killer in all the Friday the 13th movies, in my opinion, was Mrs. Voorhees.
Right.
Because after a while, it just got stale with Jason. And then the original Nightmare on Elm Street with Freddy, there's the original one was good, and then the third one was good. Other than that, they haven't been very good.
Well, let me ask this. I'm not kidding you. I just watched Psycho for the very first time a couple weeks ago.
Really?
Yeah, first time. So
Okay.
it's like, and it's like good, well done. You know, it's Hitchcock.
Well, yeah.
I can't watch any of the others. I can't. It's like Hitchcock was brilliant, and everybody else feels like a horror movie. He feels like suspense.
Yeah. Well, Psycho was breakthrough for its time because that movie was the first movie to show murder like that on screen. But not only that, it was also the very first film in theaters to show a man and a woman in bed together.
Yeah.
And yeah. Continue.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The big thing I saw with it, it was actually well done. But I think of it like, let's see, the horror version of like Rocky or Rambo. I'll give you the example of what I mean by a horror version is it was a well done movie, a story with layers to the characters. Like Rocky, I give you, for instance, Rocky Balboa, the first one, he's just a down on his luck bum, and he catches a lucky in his life. You know, a girlfriend for once and the world heavyweight champion in one fell swoop. And he doesn't trust himself, and that's the layers. Rambo is a guy who's being chased. He's just a Vietnam War veteran who's being chased because he just wanted to get a bite to eat, and they didn't trust him. And so there's layers. And this one was layered.
You just like Sylvester Stallone.
Well, no, I'm just giving you what I mean by it is the fact I'm not exceptional. I'm not an two's all right. I like two, but everything else, I'm not an exceptional fan of like like Rambo 2, Rambo 3, all that kind of stuff, because it's just blowing things up.
Yeah.
That's all I mean. But what I use the example of that is the other Psycho, this Psycho had layers to it, where there's 98% of Janet Leigh in most of the movie. All of a sudden, she gets stabbed, and you think she's going to survive, and you think the way it shows, and then all of a sudden she dies. So now what? There's been so much her, you know what I mean? And the way they build it up was unreal.
Yeah. And I agree with that. And it was different to do at the time because nobody had really done like that, because you thought she was going to be the main character, and then you just murder her like halfway through the movie.
Oh yeah. And Scream did the same thing only in the beginning of the movie.
Well, yeah, Scream killed Drew Barrymore, and the only reason that it did it because they originally wanted Drew Barrymore to play Sidney Prescott, but Drew Barrymore read through the script and saw this character Casey Becker in the opening scene and loved it so much and thought it was so good she wanted to play that. She still had top billing and died 12 minutes into the movie, or whatever, and everyone was just like, "What? Well, what's going to happen now?" And then this ring of kids came in and just kind of killed it.
Well, yeah, and that's exactly the point. But I look at it as the layers. Like the others, the Psychos, I don't think I would be able to see that. Just like when I brought up Rocky and Rambo, it's just because of there are specific things I like about each movie but they're never going to be the same as the original. And I want to ask this to you as someone who makes movies. Why do you think some of the sequels don't have the same oomph when it comes to the layers in a character?
So with a question like that, we could have a whole episode dedicated to that alone. But I'll give you a long story short. It's 2 words: laziness, money.
Right.
And that's the only reason. It's because so you bring this other character in, and they're like, okay, the first one worked. Let's do the first one again.
Yeah.
Is that it?
Right. Instead of changing something up.
Yeah. Yeah, like one of the sequels that I think added more depth and layers to the characters was The Conjuring 2.
Right.
Which was fantastic. And I think also Rocky 2 added more layer and depth to Rocky and Adrian.
Oh, absolutely. And mind you, I said I liked Rocky 2 and that 3 and 4, I'm not, I mean, I can watch them. You watch the thing, but you're watching basically for it's everything like that. I like 6, and I hate 5. I like 6 better, but I like when Stallone writes instead of just gives it off to a studio.
Well, yeah, because he cares about the story. Originally they didn't want Stallone to play Rocky. They said he was too old.
Yeah, and it's like, and then, they were trying to get James Caan or something.
Yeah, but worked out for the best, I think.
Oh, I'd say so. Yeah. But my thing, my big deal, and I look at it this way. I talked to somebody today. We had a talk about. You watch anime?
Not really. The anime that I've watched the most is probably Demon Slayer.
Well, and the one thing I was bringing up, I talked to this guy because I've done film myself, so we have little debates, I talked to this guy today, and we were talking about The Last Airbender, excuse me.
The Last Airbender, okay.
Yeah, we were talking about The Last Airbender, and he hated the live action one. He hated it.
It's horrible.
Yeah, he hated it. And I said to him, for the equivalent of a movie for that to work, you literally have to get it to somebody that has unlimited money, doesn't care about losing it, and allow the art to work with it.
Yeah, but also, I mean, you need people who care about the story. You can have as much money as you want, but if you don't care about the story, it's still not going to be very good.
Well, what I mean by the story, though, it's the story is by itself is like if they don't care about the story, then they're going to cut little ends. Cut the edges, all that stuff. Oh, they don't need this.
Yeah, but I get where you're coming from, and Shyamalan did not care.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. And that's where I think, and I'm like, personally to me, I'm looking way back from the day, but the kind of director, not saying that it would be that guy, but I'm talking about the mindset of a director that you would need to make an anime or anything like that work. Hey, Danielle.
Hey, that's real quick. That's actually my good friend Danielle. But her name, everybody calls her Bats.
Oh.
And she is my head of wardrobe, and really she was my entire art department pretty much for Swallow the Bloody Truth. She is amazing.
Oh, I bet she is,
Yeah. Shout out to Bats, everybody. Shout out to Bats.
Yeah. That's like, it was why you call her Bats, as if I didn't know.
So it's not why you think, actually. So she was in college, she was tech theater. And she would always wear Batman shirts, and she would hang upside down from the rafters to hang spotlights. So everybody started calling her Bats, and it stuck.
I thought you would mean that she was like Batman crazy.
No, well, she is that, but she is out of her mind in the most wonderful way. She is my sister, pretty much at this point. Well, and but everybody started calling her Bats, and also she loves bats in general, so it stuck.
Yeah, it works. She probably wears bat stuff all the time, doesn't she?
She does.
Yeah. No, but to bring back to what I was saying, the type of mindset, not to say that necessary director, but the mindset you would need for a Last Airbender or an anime with the art that did not mind spending the money and wants the story is like an Orson Welles.
Yeah.
The mindset, not necessarily that he would know what to do with anime. But someone like him, who is at 25 years old and he got everything, that he wanted, for Citizen Kane.
Well, yeah, he got everything he wanted for Citizen Kane, and he played that role to a T.
Yeah. And he got everything he wanted. He got the thing. He got all the money. He overspent over time, over everything. So then the studios murdered the Magnificent Ambersons. You know that story?
No.
Here's how it happened. I can give this. He was doing a movie called Magnificent Ambersons, and it was going to be better than Kane, probably. It was real, but it had a downer ending. They find this out, so they send him just before it's done. They send him on a one of those little patriotic deals to shoot the little patriotic thing between South America and the United States, one of those movies back in the 40s, whatever. To shoot this, they break into his office, steal all of his sides, and snip up 45 minutes of it because they said it was too downer.
I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, they snipped it everything, and they changed his ending completely without him because they had the control. They did this kind of thing, and they made his final. The last 45 minutes is not his. It's the studio wanting to make a happy ending.
See, studios always want happy endings, but you can't always have a happy ending.
Oh yeah, and the thing is, Citizen Kane is an all-time great because of its not happy ending.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh, and he struggled for the rest of his life. No, I would always recommend anybody watch Orson Welles interviews. There's a pile of them on YouTube. He is the smartest dude you'll ever see in your life. And he had an interesting life.
Well, I'm sure he did.
Oh, yeah. He 14 years old, he went to Ireland by himself, and he was a painter.
I didn't know that either. So back to what you were asking me earlier. The second film that I did was a film called Sweet Tooth Decline.
Yeah.
And both of these, by the way, are on YouTube at Jake Frost Films.
Okay.
And so Sweet Tooth Decline was about a woman who is clearly dealing with addiction. And so what happens is she's walking through her house one day and she comes upon this note that says 6 steps. And that's all it says. And then it shows the hooded figure behind her. And then as she goes throughout her day, she finds more notes. There's 5 steps, 4 steps, 3 steps. And every time she finds a note, the hooded figure behind her gets closer and closer. And then at the very end of it, she finds 1 step, and then she turns around and she faces the hooded figure finally. She grabs his cloak and pulls it, and then it cuts to a shot, and it turns out that inside the cloak, it was nothing but pill bottles, beer bottles, cigarettes, whatnot, stuff like that. And it was her vices in disguise this whole time.
And I was going to say, you kind of got something there that the relation. Do you have a relation by itself to like addiction or anything like that? Or is it an interesting subject to you? How do you get to these kind of things with the stories like antidepressants, depression, the addiction? What do you get into that?
Well, I myself suffer from anxiety and depression. And
right.
I also suffer from ADHD. And ADHD pretty much only amplifies what I have with anxiety and depression.
Right.
And so that one was pretty much that. And I also was, I used to be addicted to, I vaped for a while. Mm-hmm. But eventually I vaped too much and it gave me pneumonia and I had to go to the hospital for it. And it was super hard to quit it cold turkey after that, but I haven't. I've been clean for a while now.
Yeah.
I've been out of that stuff for almost 2 years now, I think.
Well, that's good for you, man. I'm glad for you. And like, I'll tell you this, it's like I'm listening, but I ask these questions because I like to ask and listen and understand, because I don't have this, but I'm meeting more people. Like TJ, you see the first thing on her YouTube page, or not YouTube, but Facebook page, and she says neurodivergent.
Yeah.
And she'll say those, and it's like before I even met her, I'd never heard of that before.
It's, if you don't have it, you don't really. It's not like I'm not trying to say. I don't understand what I'm trying to say, but
don't worry about it. Go ahead.
You grow up with all these different terms whenever you have it. So if you don't understand what it is, becoming educated about it and like understanding, like sometimes I might come off like I'm not being so nice or whatever.
Yeah.
It's not me trying to do that at all. It's just like I don't understand. A lot of ADHD people, their mouth moves before they can think.
Me.
And, and their mouth moves before they can think, and so because of that, you always like neurodivergent, and neurodivergent is another word for like, hey, I'm thinking about 100 different things and nothing at the same time.
I call myself undiagnosed ADD. I have no question. It's because I'm getting some kind of solid deal now as far as with this, my job, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm starting to build something here with my podcasting. I'm part of a total of about between full-time and part-time 7 podcasts. So it's one of those things. So I'm getting more consistency on that, but it takes a long time to get consistency when you've had that kind of thing. I know I'm undiagnosed. I know what I am, but at the same time, I'm afraid to take anything for it because I know I have a certain level of creativity a lot of people don't.
Well, I mean, taking something for ADHD, sometimes it not only does it help me focus more, it puts me in the mood to write stuff.
Right.
And so sometimes my medicine for ADHD actually helps me be more creative because sometimes my brain's in a slump, and then I take a tiny bit of Adderall because I need to for ADHD for work. But then whenever I'm off work, I'm like, hey, this is still in effect. And I just write, and it helps. It helps me get some stuff out there that I can edit later.
Oh, absolutely. And like myself, I write when I write. Like I'm published with a couple of it's like one's a magazine, one's a paper in Florida. Mm-hmm. I'm published with them, like I do like columns and stuff like that. Different sports, could be politics, could be a lot of stuff, And mm-hmm. I talk different things, and it's like I just kind of go, and I kind of go, and my main worry, and I've just asked you because that's why I ask people with this. It's because I have a belief. I have a belief that my little deal of I'm not saying I'm really, because I haven't been diagnosed with it, but I know where my brain goes. But I really believe that the part of what my the weakness is also a strength because I've got a lot of creativity.
Oh yeah, and just kind of circling back again, the third film that I did was called Swallow the Bloody Truth.
Oh, okay.
And that one is about abusive relationships. And I got the idea from that because I'd rather not go into why I have the idea for that, but like abusive relationships, it's about this man and a woman, and they kind of are just going through their mundane routine lives in their house. And every time they talk, it's the same conversations over and over. I think there's like 2 different conversations they have in the entire thing, but they have them both multiple times.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like we've done this dance 1,000 times. We know what's going on. And every time they have the conversation, he gives her a Band-Aid. And he says, here, that's for earlier. And she says, thanks, I appreciate it. Puts it on her face. And by the end of it, she's got like 4 or 5 Band-Aids on her face, but there's like no bruises. And then finally, she kind of explodes at him because she turns on the TV to watch like a family sitcom, and then he changes it to something violent because he doesn't care. And she goes, hey, I was watching that. And he says, you were wishing for that. And that's right, she was wishing for that. But then finally she explodes on him and says, no, I was watching that. And then runs to the bathroom, and she pulls all of her bandages off, revealing a bunch of bruises underneath. And that weren't there before. And then she goes back in the room, and his throat is slit, and it's kind of insinuated that she killed him.
Was this the was this the one from the your little premiere?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, this is the one.
Tell us all about the premiere.
It went great. I had a lot of people show up, everybody that was on the team, except for the guy who played the abusive husband, Devin. He wasn't able to show up, but still, he's a great guy. Could not have done that without him. Shout out, Devin. But everybody was there, everybody on the team. Would you mind if I shouted out a lot of people on my team?
Right? Go ahead.
So I have to give immense shout out to obviously Steven and Bats because they've been on pretty much everything I've done. Steven and Bats. And then Devin Hazard played the abusive husband in that. I have to give a shout out to the inner demons in my first one, which were played by John Strothman, Bats, Devin, and my friend Cameron Pierce. And Then and actually, you'll like this. Guess who played the hooded figure in Sweet Tooth Decline?
Who's that?
Jory.
Oh, he's a star now.
Yeah, we threw him in this big cloak, and you couldn't see his face or whatever. And Jory's for anybody watching, Jory's my little brother. And
no. Oh no, I'm sure he enjoyed it too.
The hooded figure was supposed to be played by somebody else, but he didn't show up. So I was like, okay, fine.
Jory.
And
Jory.
Yeah, and he did great. He was the hero of the set that day.
Well, good for him, because I'm sure Jory's got a heart. He's got a big heart. He'd be more than happy to do that.
Oh yeah. And then on Swallow the Blade of Truth, the lead actress was Kay Hopewell. She was fantastic. She told me she wanted to get into acting, and I had her audition for the part, and she killed it. She came on set, she killed it, and she is so sweet. And I had to be like, whenever I had to get her to yell and scream at Devin, I had to be like, listen, I know you're sweet, but I need you to be mean. Just be mean for this one scene. And then
he's like, no, I don't want to. No.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly how it was. And so that was that. And but yeah, that was that. And then so what I was gonna say is, what was I gonna say next? So okay, then we had my friend Sam, who was the DP on that. He had awesome equipment and he was amazing. Also behind the camera, we had our roommate Fred. He helped out a good bit. John Raj was our key set PA, and I want to make sure I don't leave anybody out. Because
you know who you need. You know what you need to do for Halloween?
What?
Ed Wood and his minions. Oh, they've been following him around.
No, I wouldn't do that. I don't know.
You got to get one to shave their head. You got to get Bats could play the girl part of it.
I don't know if I'll ever be able to get Bats back in front of the camera.
No, but I'm just saying you could just take it for your Halloween, like a little Halloween party. It could be Ed Wood. Remember how he had his crew that was with him at all times?
Yeah, and maybe I'll do it. Maybe I'll send you a picture.
Yeah, that would actually be kind of funny.
You can post it on the social media for this thing. But, but yeah, I think that was all the people, because I had the two actors, then I had me, Steven, Sam, Fred, and Bats behind the screen. And I think that and John Raj. But yeah, I think that was it. I remember there were several points when we had to do the bathroom scenes that Sam was just shooting it from inside the shower.
Oh,
and friggin' so like we cut, like every time I'd come into the bathroom to give a note or something like that, he'd be like, "Hey!"
Yeah, thanks. We're on.
And so the fourth film, though, I don't want to give too much away about it, but it's in production right now. Yeah. Our first shoot day is going to be July 2nd, so I'm very excited about that.
Oh, good.
And we got a really, really great lead actor for this one. His name is Patrick, and he is going to be fantastic. I got a fantastic second AD for this one, my friend Kelsey.
Yeah.
My other friend Kelsey. I've got two friends named Kelsey from my job, and they're Kelsey Fire because she has red hair. We call her Kelsey Fire because she has red hair. She's going to be my second AD, and Kelsey Ice, who has the blue hair, she is going to be my prop master.
So did they do that on purpose, or was that just their normal hair?
This is their normal hair. This is their normal hair. But yeah, and Sam's coming back to play. Sam's coming back, but instead of being DP this time, Sam's going to be the bad guy in this.
Oh, okay. So what do you do? What do you shoot with?
What do we shoot with?
No, what do you do? Do you have a specific camera? Do you do with phone? What do you usually shoot with?
So for shooting, we've used my Blackmagic Pocket Cinema 4K, and Sam has a Sony. So I can't remember what model of Sony he has, but he has a really nice camera that Swallow the Bloody Truth was shot on. And the first real short film that I ever did was a film called Dead Eyes. And for that one, I used like an old camcorder that the school had.
Right.
But yeah, so that's what I shoot on.
Oh, okay. That's cool. So you're past the time of the iPhones and everything now,
I mean, back when I used to shoot sketch comedy with Wesley, we shot it on iPhones.
You see Wesley anymore?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, good. How's he doing?
He's a good dude. He's doing good. And
Don't forget Gracie. Are
yes,
you're talking the Gracie I know?
yes, the Gracie you know. Sorry to get off topic.
Oh wow, it's like no, oh yeah, no Gracie. How is Gracie doing?
Oh, she's doing great. She's still her old self. We always call her our set therapy dog because whenever we film at my house, she's always running around and getting everybody's mood hyped up and whatnot. And she is such a sweet bean.
How old is she now?
She is 11, I think.
Oh, wow. 10. And the time goes quick because remember Murphy I was telling you about?
Yeah.
Yeah, just passed away a couple months ago, 17.
Well, he lived a good long life.
Yes, he did. Gracie, though. Yeah, I miss Gracie. Gracie was fun.
Well, if you can come to the premiere of the next one, hopefully you can see her.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, if I can get a chance, absolutely, for sure. When's the premiere going to be?
Don't know that yet because we haven't even started shooting yet. But as soon as I do know, I'll let you know.
Is she still as sheltered as ever?
Yes, but we've let her out. We've let her out a little bit more over the years.
No, I still remember when she would go back and forth to try to go inside, and I kept thinking I wanted to do the Benny Hill.
The Benny Hill music.
Yeah, I know. I still think one day you just need to do that.
I might do that for a TikTok. That TikTok would likely get a lot of views.
Yeah, I know. No question. So you got that. And so really overall, all of these are shorts, correct, that you're doing?
Yes.
So when do you have any plans for a feature?
I would love to do a feature. I'm cutting my teeth right now on these shorts and whatnot, and just kind of getting things going. But every short's getting longer the more I do them.
What do you mean? Oh, you talking about like 11 minutes, 15, 17, whatever?
Yeah, so the first one that I did was about 3.5, 4 minutes.
Yeah.
The second one that I did was about 5. This most recent one, So All the Bloody Truth, was about 7.5. And then Brick is probably going to clock in around 11 or 12.
Oh, okay. That's cool. And no, really, let's see. So you've been working since you graduated, basically.
Yeah, I've been working as hard as I can.
Yeah, you're working. It's like, so I was going to say this is like, are you going to be back on a set like, a Stranger Things set and all that kind of stuff like that? You going to be doing that kind of stuff pretty soon, or are you just doing your own stuff now?
I'm pretty much doing my own stuff now, but I recently did actually, so a lot of my friends know about this. I forget if I told you about it or not, but a friend of mine got offered a first assistant director position on a action feature called Betrayal.
Right.
But they were not able to take it. So they said, hey, why don't I give him your info? So I actually will be doing set work in July again. I'll be first assistant director on a big action feature called Betrayal.
Oh, very nice. So no, you got something very lucky. And this is what we have to bring to everyone. You're working from the minute you've got graduated. You're working, whether you're doing a PA work, whether you're doing your own stuff, you're working. That's what a lot of people in the film industry or theater do not have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You've got that, and you probably got to be proud with that.
Well, I try to, obviously I'm proud of what I put out. Otherwise I wouldn't put it out. But I try to, if I'm working on somebody else's set, I work my hardest to help them bring their vision to life.
So say you're PA right now. Hey, Kelly, how you doing? And
that's my assistant director. I don't know why her username is Kelly, or her name is...
Or the Blob.
The Blob.
Yep.
Also, one other thing, the fourth one that we're doing is actually not a horror film.
Oh, what is it?
It's a noir-style detective film.
Which we were talking to you about with one of our things, and stuff like that, doing the film noir detective thing.
Yeah, and it's going to be, I'm really excited for it. It's going to be really cool. It's gonna be like, if you've ever seen the movie Seven,
mm-hmm.
It's going to be very similar to the movie Seven.
Okay, and that's a short too, or?
No, so like I'm talking about the movie Seven with Brad Pitt and Morgan.
No, I'm talking about yours. Is a short, or is it going to be? Is that the first?
It's going to be a short, but it's going to be like very grisly detective style murder mystery.
I see. No, the biggest thing overall is, I was going to think of this with you, is now Do you think by itself, are you going to be working with your friends, like as far as the actors and everything like that? Do you think you're building yourself a little bit of a reputation now to be able to get some others?
Well, I would love to. I recently, one of the roles in the new one we're doing is going to be played by my good friend Andrew Sullins.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see what he brings to the table. Working at Netherworld puts me in touch with a lot of great artistic people and people who appreciate horror as much as I do.
Now that's another thing we can go right into. This, I mean, you got to remember, we're going to be having people around the country, but a lot of people don't know Netherworld. Tell them in no uncertain terms what Netherworld is.
So Netherworld is this big, I don't want to call it a theme park, but that's kind of what it is. At this point, it's not really, there's not rides, but it's got two pretty big haunted houses in it, and the themes change every year, stories change every year. It's kind of like Disneyland if you're a big horror fan or Halloween fan.
Right. Oh, and those are the things. And boy, you've been there for a good while now. I think you're the head of something, aren't you?
No, I'm not the head of anything, but I've been working there more and more over the years. I helped out this past year. I was working as an actor and working in their escape room, and I was working in their costume department.
That's what I was thinking, because you had more responsibility.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I figured. See, something like it was the Blob. I expected to be that you like the Blob.
Oh yeah. Kelsey, she's always one for horror movies. That's how we got to be friends.
Hey, no, and overall, horror is your number one.
Absolutely.
Huh?
I said absolutely.
It's your number one. What I mean, you've had it from the beginning. What got you into it?
When I was about, oh God, how old was I? I saw my first horror movie when I was about 6.
Of course you did.
And it scared the ever-loving out of me. It was a movie called Darkness Falls, and it was about a killer tooth fairy.
Oh.
And it scared the ever-loving crap out of me, but then it also made me fascinated with monsters. And so over the years, I couldn't watch any horror movies because they would scare me too much, but I would watch the trailers. But I'd say the whole thing started really when I was in 4th grade, and I was homeschooled, and my teacher bought me a Goosebumps book.
Oh.
And I'm actually wearing a Goosebumps shirt.
R.L. Stein Goosebumps, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so she bought me a book called The Horror at Camp Jelly Jam. Oh, Kelsey, that was your first. Darkness Falls was your first, really? That's awesome.
Underrated horror film, Dr. Giggles. Not the shade, it still creeps me out. Larry Drake was awesome in that. See,
I haven't heard of that one. I'll have to check that one out.
Larry Drake, this is the thing with this. So when I saw Larry Drake, it was in LA Law. He was the mentally disabled janitor.
Okay.
In the show LA Law, which, see, your parents would know that show. It was on the things that he was playing that. So that's how I knew Larry Drake. I did not realize he was in horror films.
Oh, okay. Well, I haven't heard of Larry Drake, but now I've got to go check out Dr. Giggles because that just sounds fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He was in. Remember Larry Drake is. Yeah, I know that one. I know he was that. Yes.
Because Dr. Giggles just sounds like that movie Killer Clowns from Outer Space.
Right.
One of the best B movies of all time.
Oh yeah. And no, that was the thing. That's the thing I thought about. You know what I'm saying? That is the thing I thought about, was like when you see these names, stuff like that. These are names I know from television, from old school television. Because like my brother and I, 2 different personalities. His television was all intellectual. Dr. Giggles was worse than it. Yeah, I said it. Find this film.
Bet. Okay, let me write that down.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to write that down. Long Giggles.
Yeah. No, but yeah, and he'll be watching in about an hour, trust me. But maybe less. But
depends on how long we're on this episode.
Yeah, right. No, but yeah, it's true. But it's like I said, my brother's TV growing up was all intellectual, every bit of it. Like doctors, lawyers, and if it was police, it was in the precinct. It wasn't very much. Mine was all beat people up and say stupid things. You know, yeah, it's like Walker Texas Ranger, Mike Hammer, those type of things. You know, just it was not very intellectual. And then I got intellectual later.
Okay.
Yeah, I got intellectual later. It just became a late. My brother always has been.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so
I have a couple more people that I realized I forgot to shout out.
Go ahead.
I want to do that real quick. Sam Langley, she was my casting assistant for this new one. Also, The Blob That Ate Everyone was also my favorite Goosebumps book. That is a good one. That is a fantastic Goosebumps book. I think my favorite was probably It Came From Beneath the Sink. That was definitely one of my favorite ones.
You have a set of friends that you all belong together, I tell you.
I also got to give a shout out to Jack Falk. He's going to be the DP on this. He works in broadcasting, but he's going to be the DP on this new one. It's going to be awesome. Khalik, he's going to be our behind the scenes photographer. I'm very excited to work with him. He showed up to my to the premiere actually, and just like took amazing shots. It was awesome.
Do you do your own shooting also, or do you have the DP the full time?
And I do have quite the supporting cast. Absolutely, I do. I love all my friends so much, and we all come together to create this awesome stuff. And it's just, I have to give them the credit that they deserve.
Well, I can tell you this, guys. It's like the Sideline Sports thing.
Last one, Nick Farger. He's gonna be the DP, or not the DP. Sorry, the gaffer on this new one.
They are going to they're going to start kicking you off the stage if you don't stop shouting everybody.
I don't care if I ever go up there and I win an Oscar. They're not going to cut me off. I'm going to be like so and so. Like I'm not even going to say thank you. I'm just going to be like thank you to these people, and just read off the names as many as I can.
Well, you know something though. It's like and the Sideline. I'll tell you this, guys. To my guys there, it's like I got a lot to shout too. When I do, but I can say this, guys. Me and this guy have got a long history. We do. And I appreciate the guy. You know what I'm saying? It's like.
And I appreciate him.
Oh, and I very much appreciate you. And it's like, it's one of those things. It's like, we kind of grew up together. Oh, yeah, right.
I'll do it. I'll do it too. I'll do it too.
No, but we kind of grew up together in a certain way. You know what I mean? There was a lot of things I had to learn from life and everything, but you and I kind of grew up together in a way. Yeah,
in a way we did.
Yeah. And it's like, and the thing is, I'm proud of your accomplishments because you've earned them. You really did. Because, well, that was the thing. It's like, that was the big thing is I knew film was yours. I knew it was. It's like I'd go up the steps, maybe go get a little drink or something like that or seeing what you were up to. And there's another horror film. There's another one.
I'm sorry.
There's nothing to be sorry about. It's like, it's what yours, because I got mine. We all have our interests, you know?
Oh, yeah. Everybody has to, or else the world would be so boring.
And trust me, I don't want to make the world boring, you know? And it's like, so really, now what you're going to say, it's like you have another, it's like, are you writing a feature script right now for future reference, or are you just doing these shorts?
I have a feature that is somewhere on paper. I would say it's probably about half of a feature. I think the last time I looked at it, it was about 50 something pages.
All right.
And it's going to require a lot of revisions and rewrites, just as any regular script would. But if I can make it come to fruition the way that I want to, in a way that would work, I think it could be pretty cool.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I'll tell you, it's and do you write every day?
Not every day because I work a lot, but whenever I have an off day and I've got some creative juices flowing, I love to write. Oh, and sometimes I'll be sitting there and I'll just like, that would be a cool idea. And I'll write it down like a little two sentence description in my phone. So that way I don't lose the idea.
Do you do like outlines or you just write?
So depending on where I come from, I can do either or. So for my feature, I did an outline. For the first two shorts I did, I just wrote.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I did Swallow the Bloody Truth, I just wrote. And then for this new one, I started with an outline and then wrote a full script.
Yeah, My thing was I've done one outline. It was for a last minute thing to try to get a script sold. You know what I mean? And it was like I've always just enjoyed writing because it's one of the I always feel like I'm going to lose the story if I just go off and do an outline, go stuff, or I'm gonna lose interest. I just like writing.
Oh yeah. So for this new one actually started, technically speaking, back when I was still in college. So this new one that we're doing, we got basically without giving too much away, because I don't want to give too much away, but basically we had this professor who asked us to take a certain children's story and make it something that's not a children's story.
Mm-hmm.
And so me and Steven and my friend Ezra, we went and put our heads together and we came up with what we have. And we took this thing. And so the next day our teacher came in, he said, okay, I've graded your stories for how you would change up this kid story. And he said, I see some of you did like dramas and some of you did comedies. Jake, Steven, and Ezra, he said in front of the entire class, y'all need therapy. and we were like, oh God, we failed. We failed so hard. And then our film teacher gave it back to us, and he had given us a 100. And right underneath where he wrote 100 out of 100, he said, Quentin Tarantino should make this.
Yeah. That sounds like you. That sounds like it's no. That's the big thing. The ones that quote unquote fail are the ones that make the best story, because you're off the beaten path. You're not going with some kind of solution or any kind of rule.
Well, no, yeah. That's why whenever I write a script, I don't ever want anything I write to be on the beaten path. I want to do something weird. I love weird movies. Even if it's not horror, even if the film's just weird, I like it.
Oh yeah. And I get that. It's like remember, you got to remember, I've had my friends like Ovis and stuff like that. I mean, even if I don't live the world like that, it's like when your buddy is the gothic gangster. You call himself the gothic gangster, and he's like I said, I bet you he'd be awesome for your movies.
And I hope to reach out to him one day.
Oh, I'll work on that. It's like, it's not an issue. No, because his stuff, because I showed you his look. He's got a great show, you know?
Yeah.
And I'll set you up, guys. You don't mind if I set him up for you?
Sure.
I'll set it up. No problem. No, you guys can be able to have a good time on that. It's like, no, I have I like, even though that I have a different personality from like the weird by itself, I don't mind having the friends that are like this, because the world that is just the same all the time gets boring.
Absolutely.
And it gets boring. So I like to have something different around me. And so, mind you, I like business. I like learning about business, everything like that. But I also like, even though I'm not an artist and I can't draw, I mean, I can kind of put myself through TJ, who is an amazing drawer.
TJ, she can draw anything with a pencil.
Are you kidding? She just finished Ruth Bader Ginsburg.
Oh, really? She did?
You better believe it. She's done Basquiat. She's done Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's done Keanu Reeves. She's done.
I saw her Keanu Reeves one. I love that one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll send you her. I'll send you her Basquiat, and I'll send you her Ruth Bader.
That sounds good. I follow her on Instagram, I think.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. But it's like, I'll send you her stuff. It's pretty dang cool. But anyway, we're getting close to done. But you said by yourself, what is the title of this next one?
I don't know if I want to reveal that, because the title that we have going might reveal what the children's story is.
Oh, okay. That's fine. But so it's a working title.
I wouldn't say it's a working title. I think it's a pretty set title. I just don't want to reveal too much. I don't know. Maybe I will.
What would you call your working title if you were to make one?
If I were to make one?
Yeah.
I think if I had to put it up, like if we were filming something and we had to come up with a code name that people couldn't really figure out what it was, yeah, I think I'd call it The Brothers.
Oh, okay.
But it's not called The Brothers.
Okay. Well, that's cool. It's like I've seen one of the things about it is like TJ and I have worked with. As I said, right there, we're working with her film, and then the Crystal Lock, we're going to do that someday. That's a film noir also. So there's those type of things. We got ideas, and then I'm always going to write myself. So when I get myself a little piece, so it's, maybe film is not my life, or maybe it is. Who knows? It just depends.
Well, I know that I would love to see what you can create.
Well, we're going to work it. I've made some stuff before, so I just did documentaries in that. But it's like I did documentaries. There was one that I created that got lost in, the master got lost. So.
Oh, okay.
That's an unfortunate. That was my fault though. But yeah, I trusted people I trusted the wrong people with the editing, and you can what become what's rest. You know what I mean? You can guess for the rest.
Yeah, you live and you learn, I suppose.
Yep. But I've directed 2. I've helped produce 5. I've got about 35 credits, but nothing huge. I'd like to be able to. I like to be able to give it a second time around, knowing that I've kind of grown from this.
Oh well, yeah.
Oh yeah, we'll see what happens. And knowing me, you'll probably see me on a couple of those Hallmark things because I got the look.
You got the gray fox look.
Yeah, exactly. Well, guys, we're gonna finish up here tonight. And hey, Denzel, come on in real quick. Let's see if we see this guy before.
Hey.
Did you enjoyed the interview?
Yeah, absolutely. He's got quite the audience,
Oh yeah,
he's got quite the support system. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh, this guy and I've got we got about 8-year history together. He's a good dude, and he's got a lot of talent.
Oh, okay. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, right afterwards, so you said you like kind of movies with like a weird kind of spin to it. So I'll talk to you for a little bit backstage.
Sure.
Yeah.
All right.
We're gonna stay on after when we get off, and then we can do that type of thing. But I was just gonna say I wanted to say for Denzel, this is Jake Frost. I'm Jacob Christner for Punditviews. See you next week.